Development, which has been my spiritual home for 25 years. I am the Reverend Martha Saenz, and I am very happy to be with you today for this morning's service. The call to worship. Here in this place, there are no foreigners, for all are welcome in God's house. Here in this worship, there is only acceptance, for love is the language of faith. Here in our lives, there are no divisions, for God dwells in each of us. And now for our invocation. O gracious Spirit, light and wisdom of the ages, who understands every human problem, who are ever working in perfect love throughout the universe, we, your children, come to you, leaving all anxiety and fear. We seek to enter into your peace, to feel your strength, to know that united with you, we are guarded from all ills. We pray, O great Spirit, that each heart shall be illuminated with your gracious love, with your power. Thus we stand before you, surrendering all discord, knowing that we are safe. Amen. Now, please join me in the Lord's Prayer, the Lamsa translation. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so on earth. Give us bread for our needs from day to day, and forgive us our offenses, as we forgive our offenders. And do not let us enter into temptation, but deliver us from error. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Now, join me in saying our declaration of principles which unite us here at ISD. We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that infinite intelligence expresses itself in all existence and in humanity as a manifestation of divine love. We affirm the unity of all life everywhere. We believe in communion with all planes of existence and that meaningful communication flows from this connection. We affirm the divine right of each individual to seek the truth in accordance with their consciousness, and that living in harmony with that truth defines true spirituality. We affirm that spiritual unfoldment is progressive and unending, and that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the mandate, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We affirm the personal responsibility of the individual, and that we choose our happiness or unhappiness as we apply the laws of the universe. We affirm that life is eternal and that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. We believe the ultimate expression of God in our life is unconditional love of our neighbors and ourselves. We accept that the living gifts of prophecy and healing reported in all sacred scripture are an affirmation of divine spirit working through us. And now we shall do the responsive reading, which in this day is love. On your books, it used to be R31. The responsive reading. You shall love the Almighty with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself.
No eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no mind has imagined the things which have prepared for those who love God.
Love is the prime moving power of the creating spirit. It is the self-givingness of the spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation.
Reverence for life comprises the whole ethic of love in its deepest and highest sense. Take time to see, appreciate, and enjoy the beauty and love around you each day.
One needs no other rosary whose life is strung with beads of loving thought. Love is the grandest healing power on earth, for love is the outpouring of the Spirit.
Love is patient and kind, is not jealous or boastful, is not arrogant or rude.
Love does not insist on its own way, is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrong, but rejoices in the right.
Joy to forgive and joy to be forgiven hang level in the balance of love.
Why do you see the splinter that is in your brother or sister's eye, but do not consider the beam that is in your own eye?
Search your own heart. What pains you in others may be in yourself, for the light one throws on others is generated in one's own soul.
Put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. For this is the message that you have heard from the beginning, that we should love one another.
Amen.
Now it's time for preparing yourselves for a healing meditation. As you always know, meditation is a moment when we take time for ourselves to step back from the cares of the world, of our own lives, and sit and enjoy the messages from beyond and peace in our souls. Close your eyes. Keep your feet flat on the floor. Make yourselves comfortable in your chair with your back straight and your hands on your lap. Now take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it for a moment, and exhale through your mouth slowly. Then take a second deep breath in through your nose, holding it for a moment and letting it out very slowly through your mouth, beginning to feel relaxed. Now take a third deep breath in through your nose, holding it for a moment and slowly exhaling through your mouth. Your body now feeling fully relaxed. Find yourself in your most comfortable chair in your home with a soft, warm blanket over your legs and a photograph album in your lap. As you begin to turn the pages, you see yourself as a child at the beach, kneeling in the sand, scooping up sand with your little hands, building a sandcastle. Then a photo of you with a wave splashing over the sand, washing away some of your ramparts, and you laughing in the sunlight. Ah, those memories, so vivid, such joy you had all those summers at the beach. Then you come across a photo of the first boy who kissed you, who took you to square dances and carved your initials with his on a beech tree. Those memories make you smile, bring a special sweetness to your heart as you recall the smell of the violet perfume he gave you, that first gift of a first love. From this quiet happiness, your body feels the sunlight warmth of those faraway years. As you follow the photos of your life, you see your mother and grandmother at the beach with you and recall the love and strength each of them gave you. Your mother, whose courage and spirit were indomitable, and your grandmother, whose quiet devotion and prayerful life inspired your faith. Theirs was the early love that sustained you in much of your life. They were the rock, the strong women whose genes you carry against all odds. Now your body feels lighter, made stronger by those memories of your family. More photos of you now in college with friends and new loves. Then my first wedding album, dancing and celebrating in the heart of New York City. For sure, a city of love when you're happy. Those memories of love stay with us even through eventual divorces, because the joys of children born of those loves outweigh all sorrow and become our greater loves. Then come the photos of the children. Those overwhelm all other albums with all the years, from babyhood to their own wedding albums. New joys emerge as grandchildren fill the pages, each unique, lovable, and adorable as only they can be. Their smiles with teeth or none or some at each age, with toys and trikes and skates and skis. Suddenly they are in caps and gowns and mortarboards, high school graduations. Where did all that time go? I want to read them Stuart Little and the Cat in the Hat all over again. Then your body feels relaxed but gently tired, remembering the years of career work, the travel photos of vacations or conferences in Mexico, Jamaica, Paris, London, and Rome. But most special, the family visits to my original home country, Colombia, with photos of my grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins galore, and Bogota's skyscrapers and deep green mountains so tall they rise above the clouds. Taste memories of fruits unheard of here, pitaya, chirimoya, and maracuya, and hot chocolate with melting cheese. Those memories of one's homeland are part nostalgia, part awareness of who we are, even when transplanted to this new land of our own choosing. When I travel across the ocean and think of coming home, I mean Maryland or New York. But when I think of my early childhood, it is Colombia. Our hearts hold both lands, inevitably and always. Love of country means both. We close those albums for now. Later years are for another day. Yet we know how joyful and full of love was our journey through those photos of our lives. Take 3 quick breaths Open your eyes, wiggle your fingers and toes, and feel in the present, but with the love of those who loved you and whom you loved in your hearts, and with the strength and power that they gave you in your life that goes through your life now. It is the month of Valentine's Day, and it is the moment to keep our memories of love alive in our hearts today and always. Now I'm pleased to welcome you to today's homily, which is also based on the love of Valentine's Day. This is the month of love, and we should keep it in our hearts as strong as ever all year round. We are celebrating the power of love in our homily. And although often Valentine's Day is associated with romantic love, we know love has many other dimensions. I've chosen 3 short stories from the Chicken Soup for the Soul book, edited by Jack Canfield and Mark Hansen, highlighting other special aspects of love. Writing about love is a daunting task. Where does one begin? Perhaps it's best to follow the advice. Keep it simple. The first story is titled A Simple Gesture, written by John Schlatter. There's also a small quote at the beginning of each story. This one is by Martin Luther King. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. And that was by Martin Luther King Jr. Now our story. Mark was walking home from school one day when he noticed the boy ahead of him had tripped and dropped all of the books he was carrying, along with 2 sweaters, a baseball bat, a glove, and a small tape recorder. Mark knelt down and helped the boy pick up the scattered articles. Since they were going the same way, he helped to carry part of the burden. As they walked, Mark discovered the boy's name was Bill, that he loved video games, baseball, and history, that he was having a lot of trouble with his subjects in school, and that he had just broken up with his girlfriend. They arrived at Bill's home first, and Mark was invited in for a Coke and to watch some television. The afternoon passed pleasantly with a few laughs and some shared small talk, and then Mark went home. They continued to see each other around school, had lunch together once or twice, and then both graduated from junior high school. They ended up in the same high school where they had brief contacts over the years. Finally, the long-awaited senior year came, and 3 weeks before graduation, Bill asked Mark if they could talk. Bill reminded him of the day years ago when they had first met. "Do you ever wonder why I was carrying so many things home that day?" asked Bill. "You see, I cleaned out my locker because I didn't want to leave a mess for anyone else. I had stored away some of my mother's sleeping pills, and I was going home to commit suicide." But after we spent some time together talking and laughing, I realized that if I'd killed myself, I would have missed that time and so many others that might follow. So you see, Mark, when you picked up my books that day, you did a lot more. You saved my life. That is the power of love, which in this case was a simple act of kindness, of reaching out to another in a moment of need. That is one of the great lessons we learn in life, that practicing simple acts of love often has unexpected and amazing results because we don't know how much that act of love means to someone who may be at their greatest moment of need. It is also a lesson in trusting our own intuition and following our human desire to help another in need. Notice that Bill never shared the reason for his appreciation of Mark's simple gesture until they were almost adults. Perhaps because only then did he understand the full import of that momentous day that gave him a reason to live and to enjoy life. The second story is titled Puppies for Sale, written by Dan Clark. Puppies for Sale. A store owner was tacking a sign above his door that read, Puppies for Sale. Signs like that have a way of attracting small children. And sure enough, a little boy appeared under the store owner's sign. How much are you going to sell the puppies for? He asked. The store owner replied, anywhere from $30 to $50. The little boy reached in his pocket and pulled out some change and said, I have $2.37, he said. Can I please look at them? The store owner smiled and whistled, and out of the kennel came Lady, who ran down the aisle of his store, followed by 5 teeny tiny balls of fur. One puppy was lagging considerably behind. Immediately, the little boy singled out the lagging, limping puppy and said, what's wrong with that little dog? The store owner explained that the veterinarian had examined the little puppy and had discovered it didn't have a hip socket. It would always limp. It would always be lame. The little boy became excited. That's the little puppy that I want to buy. The store owner said, no, you don't want to buy that little dog. If you really want him, I'll just give him to you. The little boy got quite upset. He looked straight into the store owner's eyes, pointing his finger and said, I don't want you to give him to me. That little dog is worth every bit as much as all the others, and I'll pay full price. In fact, I'll give you $2.37 now and 50 cents a month until I have him paid for. The store owner countered, you really don't want to buy this little dog. He's never going to be able to run and jump and play with you like the other puppies. To this, the little boy reached down and rolled up his pant leg to reveal a badly twisted, crippled left leg supported by a big metal brace. He looked up at the store owner and softly replied, well, I don't run so well myself, and the little puppy will need someone who understands. That touching story is one that shows us the power of empathy, of connecting us to another, in this case, a puppy, who shares our own difficult life situation. This story was especially poignant for me because I have a granddaughter named Emily who has cerebral palsy, managing her life from a wheelchair. 3 years ago, I broke my right leg and had to learn to walk again, and for a time managed my life from a wheelchair. My sense of empathy grew exponentially for Emily, understanding her challenges more deeply than ever. But even more, she and I are going through a shared experience right now. She is incredibly in her second year of law school. Many years ago, I too was in law school, but my extra challenge then was that I was divorced and raising 2 children. Thus, we see that empathy can be a strong bond of love, uniting us in unique ways. The third love story is titled Do It Now, written by Dennis Mannering. And the short quote at the beginning is from Christopher Morley. If we discovered that we had only 5 minutes left to say all that we wanted to say, this is a little bit dated, by the way, every telephone booth would be occupied by people calling other people to stammer that they loved them. In today's world, it would be everyone on their cell phones. Here is the story. Do it now. In a class I teach for adults, I recently did the unpardonable. I gave the class homework. The assignment was to, quote, go to someone you love within the next week and tell them that you love them. It has to be someone you have never said those words to before, or at least haven't shared those words with in a long time. Now, that doesn't sound like a very rough assignment until you stop to realize that most of the men in that group in my class were over 35 and were raised in the generation of men that were taught that expressing emotion is not macho. Showing feelings or crying, heaven forbid, was just not done. So this was a very threatening assignment to them, to some of them. At the beginning of our next class, I asked if someone wanted to share what happened when they told someone they loved them. I fully expected one of the women to volunteer, as was usually the case. But on this evening, one of the men raised his hand. He appeared quite moved and a bit shaken. As he unfolded out of his chair at all 6'2" of him, he began by saying, Dennis, I was quite angry with you last week when you gave us this assignment. I didn't feel that I had anyone to say those words to. And besides, who were you to tell me to do something that personal? But as I began driving home, my conscience started talking to me. It was telling me that I knew exactly who I needed to say I love you to. You see, 5 years ago, my father and I had a vicious disagreement and really never resolved it since that time. We avoided seeing each other unless we absolutely had to at Christmas or other family gatherings. But even then, we hardly spoke to each other. So last Tuesday, by the time I got home, I had convinced myself I was going to tell my father I loved him. It's weird, but just making that decision seemed to lift a very heavy burden off my chest. When I got home, I rushed into the house to tell my wife what I was going to do. She was already in bed, but I woke her up anyway. When I told her, she didn't just get out of bed, she catapulted out and hugged me. And for the first time in our married life, she saw me cry. We stayed up half the night drinking coffee and talking. It was great. The next morning, I was up bright and early. I was so excited I could hardly sleep. I got to the office early and accomplished more in 2 hours than I had the whole day before. At 9 o'clock, I called my dad to see if I could come over after work. When he answered the phone, I just said, "Dad, can I come over after work tonight? I have something to tell you." My dad responded with a grumpy, "Now what?" I assured him it wouldn't take long, so he finally agreed. At 5:30, I was at my parents' home, ringing the doorbell, praying that Dad would answer the door. I was afraid if Mom answered that I would chicken out and tell her instead. But as luck would have it, Dad did answer the door. I didn't waste any time. I took one step in the door and said, "Dad, I just came over to tell you that I love you." It was as if a transformation came over my dad. Before my eyes, his face softened, the wrinkles seemed to disappear, and he began to cry. He reached out and hugged me and said, "I love you too, son, but I've never been able to say it." It was such a precious moment, I didn't want to move. Mom walked by with tears in her eyes. I just waved and blew her a kiss. Dad and I hugged for a moment longer, and then I left. I hadn't felt that great in a long time. But that's not even my point. 2 days after that visit, my dad, who had heart problems but didn't tell me, had an attack and ended up in the hospital, unconscious. I don't know if he'll make it. So my message to all of you in this case is this: don't wait to do the things you know need to be done. What if I had waited to tell my dad? Maybe I will never get the chance again. Take the time to do what you need to do and do it now. Here we see the power of expressing love, especially in any strained or estranged relationship. Furthermore, it is a way of intertwining forgiveness and love. If people have hurt each other and are holding on to any resentments, notice how joyful the son became as soon as he decided to tell his father he loved him. That joy spilled over to his sharing his decision with his wife, who also yearned for him to express his love. That is the transformative power of love. When we share our feelings of love, our hearts truly expand and we become more loving to all those around us. But beyond sharing and expressing our love is the next big lesson: to do it now. His last words are, "Take the time to do what you need to do and do it now." End quote. This is the moment to choose those significant people in your life who need to hear your words of love. Don't delay. This is the weekend to begin. This is the month to express your love. So my Valentine's message to all of you is to share your love, extend kindness wherever you can, express love to your loved ones, and know that as you give love, you will receive love in great measure beyond what you imagine. Today and now, I wish a loving Valentine's month as I send all of you love and thank you for the love I receive every day. Now, please join me in the congregational prayer. Oh, I'm sorry. I went out of order. Now it's time for Reverend Rob to share the prosperity portion of our service and to do our announcements. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Reverend Martha, for today's beautiful service. And again, you can never talk about love too much, too often. It is exactly who we are all about. So thank you for sharing your words of love today as well. For our prosperity portion of the service, I just want to take a moment to thank you all for your ongoing support and your love and your encouragement to continue to do what we do. I'm going to give us a gallery view. So, if you are interested in making your donation today via our virtual collection plate, I've got the link and I'm going to put it in the chat where it is right now. And you can just click right through, make that donation. And again, we are so grateful for your support. And as we say every week, which is also related to love, divine love always has and divine love always will answer our every need. And we do know this. We know this with joy in our hearts. So thank you all so much. And just a few things happening at ISD in the next few weeks, and I'm delighted to talk about them. We finished up our book discussion group that runs weekly, and we're taking a break this week. We are going to return next week the first week of March. I think it's March 3rd. And we are having for 5 Tuesdays in March at 7:30 p.m. Reverend Joanne Dawkins as our guest host for 5 evenings focusing on the poetry of the mystic Rumi. And we're using the book, The Essential Rumi, but she is basically going to be reading Rumi to us and with us and encouraging us to reflect and think about how those words of love are impacting us. So that is 5 Tuesdays in March. You can sign up for our discussion circle on our website. We're looking forward to welcoming Reverend Joanne Dawkins back. She has been a guest homilist several times at ISD, and we're excited to have her be part of our team of workshop leaders. This coming weekend, however, we've got a couple of things coming up on Saturday, and that starts off Saturday morning, which you can do every Saturday morning. Wake up, turn off your alarm, pretty yourself up, and turn on your computer and your Zoom camera to join this week Sylvia Raitt, our resident Reiki master, who's going to be leading us through a healing. It's been a while, so we're excited to have her soothing and healing presence back on Saturday mornings. And I'm also going to encourage Reverend Fran to talk about not only that, but also the amazing things that she has coming up for us on Saturday mornings for our Spirit Saturday mornings. Reverend Fran.
Sylvia? Yes, this Saturday we're going to do some Reiki share. So everyone who shows up, we will go ahead and do some healing for each other and some healing for ourselves. And then I have a guided meditation to one of my favorite places, and we will experience the Northern Lights. So that'll be this Saturday.
And the following Saturday, which is March 6th, Lilia Grayson is going to lead the discussion on numerology and tarot. a continuation of our exploration of tarot. So we're delighted about that. We are excited. I will give you one more date. April 10th, Jim will be back as teacher. So mark your calendar. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Fran. We also next Saturday night have our message gallery. As you know, we are doing our psychic events twice a month. On the second Saturday of every month, we have our psychic fair online, where you can get individual readings from one of our talented psychics. And then on a fourth Saturday evening, we have our message gallery. And so much like today, in our gallery, you have the opportunity to have very short readings by all four of our readers for the evening, who go through everybody that is participating and gives everybody a reading. So 4 readings that not only do they often add up to a very significant message for you, but if you listen to everybody else's reading, they will likely support all the messages that you're getting as well. It's a beautiful, intimate, and very fun event. So please join us next Saturday evening for our message gallery. I also want to say Reverend Fran and I are going to be hosting, and very excited about hosting, a series of comparative world religions. We're going to start this. They're going to be on 6 consecutive Sundays beginning. I'm sorry, the second Sunday of the month. Yes, we changed that. Yes, so second Sunday of the month. And they are going to be focusing on the broad scope of world religions, some of the most prominent ones. And they will include Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism. What else, Reverend Fran?
Christianity,
of course.
And we hope to have teachers working with us who are actually practicing those faiths in many cases. I know for Islam, my good friend Nassif is going to join us.
So very excited. This is a required class for ministerial students, and it is one that we haven't offered in a while, and looking forward to being able to offer these on Sundays beginning in March. So do join us for that. Mark it on your calendars. I will have that up on the website in the next day or so. So I think that's all for me. Once again, thank you all for being here today, as always, on our Sunday Zoom service and creating this very sacred space for us and all who we greet when we're done. So thank you. Reverend Martha, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you. And now please join me in the congregational prayer. It's "Let Love Flow," and it will appear on your screen. Let love flow. May all beings be filled with joy and peace. May all beings everywhere, the strong and the weak, the great and the small, the mean and the powerful, may all beings everywhere, seen and unseen, being or waiting to become, may all be filled with lasting joy. Let no one deceive another. Let no one out of anger or resentment wish suffering upon anyone. Just as a mother protects her child with her own life, so may each within themselves grow a boundless love for all creatures. Let love flow outward through the universe to its height, in its depths, its broad extent, a limitless love without hatred or enmity. So let it be. Now, I think it's time for messages, for affirmation of spirit. And then after that, we'll do the closing prayer after our messages. So everyone must unmute. And I'll get gallery view. Okay. So welcome to the message portion. I love to do this part of the service. I wish that we were doing it in person, And when we did it in person, I would take your hand, look at your eyes, and ask you to say your name. And then with that connection, I would be able to get a sense of that moment and receive a message from spirit. And even though we can't do that in quite the same way, we will do our best always. Thank you to Zoom for making this much of a connection possible. All right. Lilia. Okay. Lilia, I see you in a helicopter. I see you in a helicopter, not because you're a helicopter parent in any way, but because you want a brighter, broader view of your life and what you want to achieve. And so by distancing yourself and being above the crowd, being above the hubbub of life, you get a better view. And in that helicopter, you feel connected to the divine because you're up in the air. And so it's a more spiritual moment for you to be able to sense the connection from above and to have the view of the world below you, your world below you, and be able to see things you could not see otherwise. Take the big view. Understand that everything is connected. One of the things we see in our lives is that as small a gesture, as small an event can be, it can be so significant, so important in the grander scheme of things. Nothing is too small to ignore. And so that message from Spirit is for you to get that view, to understand that all the things in your life are connected, and to see the beauty and the power of that, so that every day seems important and significant and beautiful and productive for you. Sometimes we think of a day that's gone by and we don't imagine that we've done anything really useful, but that's not so. Anything that you've ever done to help another, to express love to another, and also for yourself, taking time for yourself, all of those are significant in the larger scheme of things. So that's my message to you, Lillian. And of course, everyone's message always applies to everyone else because we are connected.
Thank you, Martha. That is very sweet. Love you. And I love you.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel that. I really appreciate it. And as we give love, we always receive love in much greater measure. Kelly.
Morning.
Kelly. Good morning. It's so nice to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah. Okay. Kelly. Kelly, do you ever ride horseback?
Not lately.
No. Okay. But have you ridden in your life?
Maybe a couple of times when I was a teenager.
Okay. Well, I see you on a horse, and I actually riding bareback. And I think it's really a symbol of freedom. It's a symbol of exploring new things, but it's also a tremendous symbol of self-confidence in yourself. You know, self-confidence by definition is obviously in yourself, but not just for the things you've accomplished, but who you are. Because the measure of a person is not the degrees on their wall. The measure of a person is much greater than that. It's what they've done in their life to help another, to love another, to care for another. And Spirit says that you have done that in great measure. And now it's time for you to care about yourself, to be free to ride bareback, to be unconventional, to explore. And that is the message for you. It also is an important message when we all feel that we've been in this lockdown forever, and that we've had our wings clipped, and that we haven't been able to travel as much and explore as much. But in reality, we can. We've been able to explore within our hearts, within our minds. We've grown tremendously because we have understood what patience means. We've understood that we can survive doing without all the things we used to have that we took for granted. And we found more things to enjoy and make us happy. So that is your message. And so whenever you see horses, think of all of that.
Thank
And
you.
God bless you.
Thank you. That's beautiful. And I love you, Martha.
Okay.
Thank you.
I love you too. Um, let's see. Um, Lauren,
Good morning.
Lauren, good morning. Um, Lauren, say your name for me again.
Lauren.
Okay. All right. All right. Lauren, I see you, I see you reading, but it's not reading as in pleasure reading. I see you researching. I see you looking through books to find certain things. And I see you doing that. You're doing it happily. You're doing it because it's part of something that you are supposed to do, but you're actually finding joy in it because it's almost like detective work. So I see you doing some research for something that you are working on. I don't know if it's connected to your work or to your political representation, but it is definitely something that you didn't anticipate would be so interesting. And it's really a metaphor for understanding that sometimes we anticipate something, thinking it's going to be boring and not interesting at all. And we start discovering things. And that's because it's expanding our minds, it's expanding our creativity, it's triggering a lot of ideas. And when we have new ideas and can put those into effect, it's a very exhilarating sense of creation. And so from the visibly mundane, take that power of creativity, of intuitiveness, of knowing that you can make something much more important to you and to your work simply by being that source, by being the source of connecting those facts with your creative ideas to come up with something truly, life-changing for others. So do your research, girl.
Okay.
Enjoy
I will.
it, enjoy it, enjoy it. And I
Okay.
say girl with lots of love because it's
I love you too,
almost like
Martha.
that
I love you
child.
and I miss you. And I miss everybody. And tell Ted I said hi.
Thank you so much. Ted, she says hi. He's right here. Thank you. But it is, it's the child exploring is the beginning of how we learn to do those things. The child learning at 7 years old, what makes the grass green and the sky blue. So it's that same exhilaration.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see. Sylvia. Sylvia. Um, say your name for me.
Sylvia Rake.
Okay. Well, Sylvia, I see you on two things. First, on a loom, as if you were weaving, and then I see you at a xylophone. So, there you are, arts and music. So, that is the next step, taking you into new worlds of arts and music. The loom is also a beautiful symbol for all the things that you are doing at church, in your healing, in your lectures, in your Saturday morning events, because you are really weaving all of these things together for others. So that at the end of a year, there's a tapestry of all of those beautiful things that you have expressed, that you have taught others, and they are the product of your creativity, of your um, really talents, because you have many talents and you've been able to weave them into that beautiful tapestry. So Spirit commends you for that, and encourages you to continue, because you are doing beautiful work. And then the music comes in, the xylophone. It's an unusual instrument, but it's a symbol of you want to do something a little bit out of the ordinary. And the xylophone reminds us of music in other countries. So whenever you get a chance to travel again, think about that part, because that brings you extra joy in different measure. And love to you on Valentine's month. Um, let's see. Robin Hall. Hello, Robin.
How are you, Martha?
All right. Say your name for me again.
Robin.
Okay. Well, Robin, I never associated you as much with the birds of spring as right now. The moment you said your name, I saw robins really around you on the lawn outside. And spring is really saying to you, it's not that far away. So it's only really 1 month away exactly, because most of the time the calendar celebrates spring on March 20th. So that's what you're looking for. 1 more month, 4 weeks of whatever we're calling winter and experiencing winter, and then spring will come. And spring is going to be a good time for you, because you really need that fresh air, that sunshine, and most of all, everything that spring represents. I know you keep your plants bringing you nature and clean air in your home, but it's going to be wonderful to be outdoors and seeing all the things that bloom in the spring in Washington. So one part of the message is also to do something that makes you think of spring and makes you want to look forward to it. Some new project that you can meditate on that and see what comes to you. Certainly the symbol of the robin is a beautiful symbol. But one of the things you can do to increase your creativity is to do some coloring. We discovered at an ISD retreat that when we color, we can actually sit in a lecture, listen to what is going on, absorb it better when we're coloring, because you are engaging the right and the left brain of your mind. And it's a very, very effective. It means that you end up remembering more of what you heard as you are doing your coloring, and it keeps you focused. So have fun with it, and happy spring.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Reverend Kathy Gregg, can I give you a message? Can you hear? Kathy, you have to unmute. I don't know. Kathy, unmute. Can I unmute her? Okay. I'm asking Kathy to unmute.
Could she just give you a thumbs up if she can't find her unmute button?
I don't know. I'm trying to get her to unmute. I'll come back to her. Okay. Kathleen Horowitz. I'll come back to Kathy. Kathleen Horowitz, you need to unmute also. Okay.
I'm unmuted.
Can I? Okay, good. Say your name for me.
Well, I go by Kate.
Kate, that's right. That's right. Kate, it's good to see you, even if I can't see you.
I'm working
Anyway,
on getting
Kate,
there. I am. See?
okay. Oh, wonderful. Okay, there you are. There you are with that beautiful smile. All right, Kate. Um, Kate, you're picking flowers. Maybe this is, this is definitely the spring theme. I see you picking flowers, and you're picking flowers to create a bouquet. And at the beginning of spring, there aren't that many flowers that you can pick because the crocuses are pretty small, and you don't really pick forsythia very often, but you are definitely picking flowers. And part of it is that you are taking time for yourself to do something in nature. That's really important. I think it's important for you because there's a sense that you've really felt this cooped up feeling of the pandemic. It's that sense of not being able to go out when you want to, or to go places that you always went to. And it's been hard on you to feel so restricted. And so just the symbol of, or even the image of you outdoors picking flowers, um, doing something in nature is very healing for you, and it will lift your spirits. And part of it too is if you can always keep in mind to keep some flowers in your home. And if you don't have plants, plants are so important, but once in a while we have, flowering plants. I was excited to have one of my African violets start blooming again after I transplanted it. So it really lifts your spirits in very small but significant ways. And so it's the message is to keep flowers around you and have all kinds of new things flowering in your life and blooming in your life.
Thank you. Thank you. Love, love, love. Have a good Valentine's month.
Thank you. And to you and your family too. And hello to Mary for me.
Back at you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Now back to Kathy. Kathy, now it's time for your message. Now that you're unmuted.
Thank you.
Reverend Kathy. Kathy, say your name for me.
Kathy Gregg.
Okay. All right. Well, Kathy, I see you in the library. I see you in an old-fashioned library, the kind that had books up to the ceiling. And I see one of those ladders that you climb to get up to the books up there.
Yes.
And I see you climbing that ladder. And the reason you're climbing that ladder is because you are on this spiritual path that you want very much to be way up there in the top row of books that no one has ever seen. So your curiosity, which I know is very great, is not for the books that are within reach, not for the books that everybody can access, but you want the books that no one has accessed for a long time. And you want those books now, and you want to find all the ones that are up there hidden and dusty, but you're going to be so determined. You're climbing that ladder with such purpose. And that's really a wonderful symbol. Besides being true and actual and real, it's still a symbol for your spiritual growth, because you want to see what is beyond your reach, and you want to see what is unknown, what is different, what is not practiced now. You want those esoteric that esoteric information, and that's really important for you because that feeds your soul. Anytime you get excited about new knowledge, you want it for yourself, but you want to share it and you want to use it. And that's what keeps you going, I know. So that ladder is just a wonderful symbol for your spiritual growth and for your spiritual quest. So keep that up. I know that you're going to really find some beautiful things that you can share.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, and happy Valentine's month.
You too.
Let's see, one more. Let's see, I'm looking for the people that are, that I can't see, but Jan Kiefer. Jan, how are you? Can you please unmute? Okay.
I'm doing well.
All right. Good. And say your name for me.
Jan Kiefer.
All right. Jan, I see you in a large house. It's either a house or an apartment, but it's all windows. It's full of windows. And you are almost, it's almost as if it were an empty apartment, brand new, and it's in a high-rise building, and it's all windows, and you are looking out. You're going from room to room. It's an empty apartment, almost as if you had just bought it, and you are exploring everything because you are seeing everything outside of the apartment because you have so many windows. And so, you know, the whole idea of this symbolism is that it's some place new. I don't know if it implies that there may be a move in your future and that you just want to have so much light coming in where you live that you want more windows than you could ever imagine in an apartment. You're going to have to put up some curtains because you're going to need some curtains to cover some of the windows some of the time. But it's a beautiful symbol for how much you want to let the light in. And letting the light in is important for you, literally and metaphorically. When we have light, we just thrive. The people who go through a winter, a difficult winter because it's dark, because their days are shorter, because it gets dark earlier, because the sky just isn't as bright. And we just yearn for the sunlight, and that's how you're feeling. And that's your yearning right now, is for more light. So see that in all areas of your life. And if it inspires you to move to more light or put in a skylight where you live, then go for that. So that's the message for you from Spirit today. And may the light always be with you.
Okay, thank you. You too.
Light and love.
Thank you.
And one last message. Steve, could you unmute or no, yes, Steve?
Yes, hi, Martha.
Oh, there you are. There you are, Steve. Oh, it's nice to see you. Steve, say your name for me.
Steve.
Okay. Wow. You are in command. I actually see you on a ship.
Oh.
I see you on a, you know, the old-fashioned ships where you see, you know, all these movies with, let's say, Russell Crowe in them, and you know, is the captain of the ship. But there is that sense that you are steering your own ship, and that you are in command. And there's a sense of, there's a lot of strength and self-confidence that you have that is very evident in many, many things that you're doing. I don't think it was always like that in your life, but there is that strength and purpose and just self-confidence that is very strong in you now. And I think that that's important because you have a sense of direction. You have a newfound sense of direction that has been developing now for a while. And it really, it affects your life in every way. And that sense of direction is also for your own spiritual growth. One of the things that's important about the ship analogy is that the ship is having to be, you know, on rough seas sometimes and on calm seas sometimes. and you need to keep, and you have your equanimity throughout all of that, so that whether it's a storm or a calm sea, you are there knowing how to steer the ship competently and with strength of self, and also inspiring others to have faith in you. And that's very important. I know you were my mentor when I was studying for the ministry, and I've always appreciated all your mentoring. And I appreciate that you are who you are in so many ways. Thank you, Steve, for who you've been in my life.
Thank you, Martha, for that lovely message. I appreciate that.
So I think that's all for today on messages. I'm pretty optimistic sometimes, thinking I can give every person a message, but it's not always possible. So for the next time, for everybody else. Now it's time to get back to the order of service. We have our closing prayer. Oh, beloved, may this unique and sacred experience we have created as a community help us to grow in spirit this day and always, throughout this day and every day. And may we always know what a blessing we are for each other, for our community, and for our world. Amen. And now the benediction. May the Divine One bless us and keep us. May the Divine One's face shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May the Divine One give us peace. Amen. Thank you. That concludes our service for today. But I know that this is the time when we all unmute and can socialize a little bit.
Mhm.
Martha, thank you. Absolutely beautiful service. Thank you so much.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you. It's the hard part was getting through the homily without crying. No matter how many, I just know that that's just the way it is. But that's just a sign of who we are.
Yeah.
The sun's out. Spring is on its way.
That's right. Thank you, Rob. Another Robin. That's right. Adding to the
Yeah.
yes.
I was
The
just
sense of
thinking
spring.
yesterday about that. Yeah, I was the same thing you were telling Robin. Yesterday, I was thinking, well, it's only a month away. I can almost see it and feel it, and I'm ready for it. Yeah.
Right. Right. Even though they say we're having snow tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be less than an inch, and it's just But
right. Just to remind us, it's not over yet.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I kept listening to your kitty a little bit. It was so sweet. Talking up just real quietly, but really sweet.
I know. But that's a very well-behaved little cat, because, half the time you're on Zoom and suddenly the person disappears and this furry little body goes across the screen. And so the cats, the cats definitely have no compunction about going across our Zoom screens.
Well, mine just jumped up on the ring light and knocked it over, and so that's what they do.
Well, they're just being productive.
They are fulfilling their curiosity 100%.
Yeah.
Well, everybody have a wonderful week.
Bye, Lauren.
Love you all.
I love the story about the puppy, Martha.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you. It's really, well, those stories are always, when I was going through to pick them out, I said to Ted at some point, maybe I should just pick the one that makes me cry the most, or not.
Wow.
But that's what that experience was like, picking picking different stories and see which ones would go together. But they're always those chicken soup for the soul books are very reliable, and to always have inspiration for you. I mean, you could do a whole class on just those books. So anyway, Have a great week, everybody.
I have a
Till next
metaphysical
week.
question.
Thanks, Reverend
Yes.
Martha.
For ye who remain. I
Thank
sometimes
you, Olivia.
what do you guys recommend? Like, I just realized that I need to protect myself, that my spirit may be high, but if I'm around like someone like that I'm married to, who's angry, it'll all of a sudden affect me. And since since I have enough of my own stuff to deal with, I want to protect myself from other people's stuff. Any recommendations?
Well, that a very typical thing to do is to imagine yourself inside a cylinder of mirrors, and the mirrors are facing out. So you're inside the cylinder, the mirrors are facing out. And the reason for that is because anything that comes at you hits the mirrors and reflects back to that person. So that's just a technique of protection, of self-protection. And also every day you could also say your prayer of protection. That's also important. And surround yourself also, another word, with white light, a cocoon of white light. And also, pray for any negative emotions and influences just to, to be away from you. You can do all of those things. And drink a lot of water, and put salt in the corners of your rooms, because salt absorbs negative energy. And that evidently is something that's been around for thousands of years, using salt that way.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be a big mound of salt, but just in the corners of each room. So those are some ideas.
Thank you.
Beautiful advice, Martha. Thank you.
Reverend Martha, the puppy story made me cry, so it worked. I was like, there's more to this story. What is it? And when the pant leg came up, I was like, oh, there it is. So that was awesome.
It's infinitely beautiful, that story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really, as I said, I know that we are always advised to interject our own personal experiences very carefully into our homilies, because you want your homily to be universal. You don't want it to be just, this is my life kind of thing. But I still think that personal experiences give a homily an important element, as long as you can make sure that that personal element goes to the universal, that it's really part of the human experience, not just your own experience. But certainly, my admiration for my granddaughter and her challenges significantly changed, grew tremendously after I broke my leg, because unless you walked in someone else's shoes, or in this case, in which case you couldn't walk in someone else's shoes, and she's never been able to walk in her life. So that's another thing that's really, to me, admirable. No matter what, it's never been easy for her, but she doesn't complain about it. She just keeps going. So anyway, I'll have a wonderful week, everybody. Anne, hello. I see you there. Anne Moore. I see you there. Nice to see you.
Hi,
Everybody in Virginia and Lorraine and everybody in Georgia.
Olivia. I went to step.
Oh, shoot.
And so when I took my foot out,
I saw it on his back. So
is it on his back?
Darny.
Oh, is it?
So this is still live streaming our private conversation afterward.
I delete them. They're done. It's on YouTube now. So
okay. I'm
That's all right.
See you guys later.
We're not doing what the school board did.
well, guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a beautiful week, everybody.
Beautiful service. Thank you so much.